Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the Israeli Air Force conducted retaliatory strikes against Syrian military installations in response to projectiles that were fired from Syria toward the Israeli side of the Golan Heights. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States Military, 4-star General Mark Milley, concluded an official visit to both Israel and Jordan. After months of relative quiet, police forces locate and detonate an explosive device that was attached to a cluster of balloons in Israel's southern Eshkol Regional Council, adjacent to the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. The Israeli Air Force conducted a retaliatory bombardment of Syrian military installations over the weekend in response to projectiles that were fired from Syria. The incoming Syrian projectiles, which exploded adjacent to the border security barrier, caused damage to both a civilian building and a vehicle. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. In a retaliatory response, the IDF spokesperson's unit told TV7 that attack helicopters struck Syrian observation posts and intelligence collection systems located within Syrian military bases. According to TV7 sources, the Israeli aerial bombardment took place in the southern Quneitra governorate near the border village of Hadel. At least 2 fatalities were confirmed on the Syrian side, identified as non-Syrian militants. Another 2 Syrian regime forces sustained injuries. Subsequently, the IDF spokesperson's unit emphasized in its written statement to TV7 that it holds the Syrian regime responsible for the fire against Israel and that it will continue operating with determination and will respond to any violation of Israeli sovereignty. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserted during the weekly cabinet meeting that ongoing assessments are currently being held vis-à-vis the situation on the country's northern front.
אנחנו פועלים לפי מדיניות עקבית שלא נאפשר לאיראן להתבסס צבאית בגבול הצפוני שלנו. לבנון וסוריה נושאות באחריות לכל מתקפה יוצאת משטחה נגד ישראל. לא ניתן שיערערו את ביטחוננו ולא ניתן שיאיימו על אזרחינו. לא נסבול פגיעה בכוחותינו. יחד עם שר הביטחון והרמטכ"ל אני מקיים הערכות מצב שותפות. צה"ל ערוך להגיב לכל איום.
As part of a number of situation assessments and the IDF's Northern Command Defense Plan, the military announced the deployment of additional troops in order to strengthen defenses along the northern border. Furthermore, the IDF decided to restrict several routes near the border for movement of military vehicles, in addition to civilian routes that have been blocked as a precautionary measure. These are only a number of preemptive measures that were cleared for publication in light of mounting tension along Israel's northern front. In other yet related news, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States Military, 4-star General Mark Milley, held a work visit in Israel over the weekend. In addition to a number of meetings with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and alternate Premier and Defense Minister Benny Gantz, the American general participated in a panel led by his Israeli counterpart, IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Aviv Kochavi, during which the head of the Israeli Military Intelligence Directorate, Major General Tamir Hayman, and the IDF Chief of Strategy and Third Tier Directorate, Major General Tal Kelman, provided briefings on intelligence and strategic cooperation matters, including the IDF perspective on the threats and opportunities present in the different regional theaters of operation, most notably vis-à-vis the Islamic Republic of Iran. Following the panel, Defense Minister Gantz highlighted the close cooperation and excellent relations between the defense establishment, the IDF, and the United States military, which he referred to as a cornerstone of the Israeli defense strategy. In tandem, General Aviv Kochavi mentioned the shared interest of both Jerusalem and Washington to preserve regional stability and to prevent Iran or its proxies from jeopardizing the stability in the region, to which he underscored that the IDF is prepared for a variety of scenarios and will act as necessary to negate any threat against the sovereignty of Israel or the safety of its citizens. Following his visit to the Jewish state, the U.S. chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff traveled to the country's eastern neighbor, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. General Milley held a meeting with his Jordanian counterpart, Major General Youssef Al-Naiti, during which the two military commanders discussed the current security environment throughout the Middle East. The Office of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Public Affairs released a statement emphasizing that the U.S. and Jordan share a strong military-to-military relationship as key partners committed to peace and security in the Middle East region. In related news, U.S. Special Representative for Iran Brian Hook warns that an ongoing rift between Qatar and its Gulf Arab neighbors had lasted for too long. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and non-Gulf state Egypt cut off ties with Qatar in June of 2017 over accusations of financing regional terrorism, which according to intelligence experts pertains specifically to its backing of the Muslim Brotherhood. Doha has denied the charges leveled against it, claiming instead that the Arab bloc aims to infringe its sovereignty. While extensive efforts by the United States and Kuwait to mediate the dispute have thus far been unsuccessful, Washington has made it clear to its regional partners that the prolonged dispute threatens efforts to contain the malign expansionist activities by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Speaking from the Qatari capital Doha, Representative Hook cautioned, quote, "The dispute has continued for too long and it ultimately harms our shared regional interests in stability, prosperity, and security." He further stressed, quote, "Bringing an end to this dispute really will advance the collective interests of all the parties to this conflict." Turning now to Iran proper, where the Islamic Republic is seemingly stepping up its rhetoric directed at the United States. Satellite images reveal that the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps has transported a mock-up U.S. aircraft carrier to the strategic Strait of Hormuz, where it is expected to conduct a series of naval war games in the near future. While a spokesperson for the U.S. Navy's Bahrain-based Fifth Fleet noted that she cannot speak to what Iran hopes to gain by building this mock-up or what tactical value they would hope to gain by using such a mock-up in a training or offensive exercise scenario, she emphasized that the Fifth Fleet remains confident in its ability to defend itself against any maritime threat. Turning now to the south of Israel, where police forces scrambled to an open area in the Eshkol Regional Council, which is situated adjacent to the Islamist-controlled Gaza Strip, where a balloon attached to a suspicious device was located. Police bomb disposal experts arrived at the scene and confirmed that the device was indeed rigged with explosives.
In the south, in the Negev region, police bomb disposal experts arrived at the scene where a suspicious object landed, which was attached to balloons. Our units confirmed that that was an explosive device. It was neutralized in order to prevent any danger in the area, and heightened security is continuing in the Negev region at the moment.
Thank you for watching us. We're genuinely blessed to be back and look forward to the upcoming season. And once again, I would like to encourage you to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to pray. We would like to lift up today Iceland for its salvation and peace, alongside our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel, as well as for all of those who are impacted by the corona contagion worldwide. I'm Jonathan Hassan, have an Erev Tov and Shavua Tov. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time.